Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Swallowed Star 2 episode number 127 based on novel. So let's start. In a tavern in Huyang City, in a small building, Hong sat alone, drinking fine wine and enjoying delicious food. Only after coming to the origin continent did I know that there is a world beyond the world, and only then did I understand how insignificant I am. Hong smiled and looked at the many practitioners outside the window who were driving various flying secret treasures. In the primordial universe region of his hometown, not counting the Ancestor Yuan and the giant axe, Hong was the 23rd true god of the human race at that time, and even became a true god a little faster than Luo Feng. Of course, Luo Feng deliberately stayed in the Lord of the Universe Master stage for a long time in order to pursue a higher level of divine body, and finally achieved the perfect divine body. But Hong's talent is still extremely dazzling in the human race. Many predecessors seem to have become true gods earlier than Hong, but their cultivation time is far beyond Hong. In addition to Luo Feng and the Ancestor Yuan, there are already 11 people in the human race who have come to the origin continent through reincarnation, and I am the 11th. Hong had just come to the origin continent not long ago, and he felt that everything was new. The prosperous Huyang City, different life races, and different schools, for him, there are too many places worth exploring. The Void True God, the Eternal True God, the Primal Chaos Sovereign, and the God King. Hong thought, the God King is divided into 3 levels, and the emperors and monarchs of the 2 ancient kingdoms are comparable to the ultimate level of the God King. Above the ultimate level of the God King are the ancestors of the 2 kingdoms, the ancestors of the Easter Pole Territory, Emperor Qing, and the Milky Way Kingdom Lord. Third brother, have you reached this level? Hong was a little excited. The many forces on the origin continent were not clear, but Hong, Penggong, Primal Chaos City leader, Ancestor Yuan, and other human race powerhouses knew very well that the Milky Way Kingdom Lord was Luo Feng. In his hometown, Luo Feng was called the Milky Way Ancestor. Third brother, he has not been in the origin continent for a long time, and he has already surpassed the God King? Hong was quite shocked. When he was the Universe Master, he was already invincible in the entire Universe Ocean. After becoming a true god, he solved the disaster of the world beast. In such a harsh cultivation environment as the Universe Ocean, he can become an eternal true god. Coming to the origin continent, he completely soared into the sky. Hong was quite sighing. He watched Luo Feng grow step by step from weakness. At first, he was the headmaster of the Extreme Martial Arts Hall. Luo Feng was just a young warrior. Later, Luo Feng grew up step by step, and even helped him and Lei Shen. Hong asked himself, in the harsh cultivation environment of the primordial universe region, the main reason why he could become a void true god and come to the origin continent through reincarnation was Luo Feng's help. Without Luo Feng, the Ancestor Yuan would probably never be released. Among the entire human race, the only one who can rely on himself to reincarnate. He was afraid that the Primal Chaos City leader has a little hope. Hong, in terms of talent and understanding, can't even be in the top 5 among the human race. I came to the origin continent and realized that there are so many strong people. The native geniuses of the origin continent, the geniuses born from countless miniature universes, and the geniuses who came back from the 3,000 primordial universes. Hong thought, compared with them, I am much more mediocre. For all the human race who can come back to the origin continent through reincarnation, Luo Feng has prepared the highest standard of cultivation resources, so their cultivation is very smooth. But Hong, Penggong, Darkness and others all understand that they are extremely talented in their hometown. In the origin continent, they had a hard time becoming the eternal true god. Hong suddenly received a message, and when he saw it, he couldn't help showing joy. The Ancestor Yuan has become the God King. Hong was quite excited. Only when he came to the origin continent, he could see that the talent was much higher than that of the other powerful humans. Hong immediately stood up. Divine Lord, are you satisfied with the food? The waiter who was responsible for serving outside the small building was extremely respectful. Hong's strength was not worth mentioning in Huyang City. But as a core disciple of Blade River sect, the merchants in Huyang City dared not neglect him. Hong paid the fee casually, waved his hand and drove the flying boat, and quickly went straight to the headquarters of Blade River Sect. Blade River Sect headquarters, the cave where the Ancestor Yuan was. At this moment, the strong men of the human race were constantly coming. It is said in the outside world that the Milky Way Kingdom Lord has an old servant who is an ultimate beast. It should be Elder Luo Sa. Luo Feng has been in seclusion recently and does not see guests at all. But when we came to the origin continent, Luo Feng personally led us. When the human strong men get together, they will also talk about Luo Feng and Morosa. The Milky Way Kingdom Lord, the old servant of the ultimate world beast. For the human strong men, it is really too exciting. They actually have the thick thighs. I came to the origin continent to practice for 800 epochs and finally became a god king. The Ancestor Yuan smiled at his companions around him. Of course I can become a god king thanks to Luo Feng's help. Resources alone cannot make you a god king, talent and understanding are more important. Luo Feng smiled aside. Among the 11 strong men who came after the human beings, only the primal Chaos City leader became the eternal true god, and the others were all just void true gods. You can see the potential gap. I feel it is quite difficult to become a god king, and I have encountered many confusions. Ancestor Yuan shook his head. The path of cultivation is really getting more and more difficult. The human race strong men were listening. You are all nominally my lineage. Ancestor Yuan looked at the human race strong men. I became a god king, and I can also arrange some official positions for you. Now that I arrange some official positions for you, there will be no opposition in Blade River Sect. After becoming a god king, Ancestor Yuan's status in Blade River Sect was naturally greatly improved. Cultivation is not just about seclusion and contemplation, but also about taking on official positions, handling affairs and having more contact with other strong men. It is also good for your cultivation. Ancestor Yuan said. Yes. A crowd of powerful humans answered. Luo Feng's eyes fell on Huaqiong, and he asked with a smile, Huaqiong, you have been in the origin continent for more than 100 epochs. How is your cultivation? I am still a little short of the eternal true God. Huaqiong said respectfully. Practice with all your heart. When you become the eternal true God, I can publicly accept you as a registered disciple. When you reach the Chaos Realm, I can publicly accept you as a direct disciple. Luo Feng looked at his disciple expectantly. If he was weak, it would be harmful to Huaqiong if he was forced to be a registered disciple or a direct disciple. Now that he is an ordinary core disciple, he has no shortage of resources, and Luo Feng will even personally instruct him. Disciple understands. Huaqiong responded. Ancestor Yuan saw this and smiled and said, if you have any confusion in your cultivation, just say it. I, Luo Feng and Elder Luo Sa can all instruct you. The human race strong men were overjoyed and began to ask questions one by one. Ancestor Yuan, Luo Feng, and Morosa all began to explain in detail according to their expertise. Because their questions were generally about the void true God and eternal true God stages. So it is easy to see the difference between Luo Feng, Ancestor Yuan, and Morosa. Luo Feng has the most solid foundation. He has a special inheritance in cultivation, and he has created high-level secrets methods with low realms time and time again. He has a very deep understanding of the foundation. The party finally dispersed, leaving only Luo Feng and Ancestor Yuan. I have gained a lot from listening to your preaching. Ancestor Yuan sighed, in terms of foundation, I can't compare with you. I had the opportunity to get several special inheritances in the infinite space. Under the guidance of the special inheritance, my foundation was tempered enough. Luo Feng smiled, Ancestor Yuan, I also prepared a gift for you. Oh? Ancestor Yuan was surprised. Luo Feng flipped his hand and took out a silver token. This is a token to go to the treasure land of infinite space. Luo Feng smiled, not long ago, this token was found in the territory of my Milky Way God Kingdom. Infinite space tokens appear randomly on the origin continent. So the wider the territory, the easier it is to get such treasures. Infinite space token? Yuan showed a look of surprise. With his status and position, he could read many secret information of Blade River sect, and naturally he also knew the information of treasures in various places on the origin continent. Infinite space attaches the most importance to the two aspects of spiritual will and opening up the great Tao. Ancestor Yuan, you practice the two paths of reality and illusion. Luo Feng said, in the real world, there is an accurate great Tao of world origin as a reference. But the illusionary world does not have this great Tao. In the entire origin continent, perhaps only the treasure house of infinite space can find some inheritances that can help you. Luo Feng, you have helped me too much. Ancestor Yuan was very grateful. Luo Feng had to think of every possible way for the opportunity. Now he can easily pave the way for Ancestor Yuan. In terms of cultivating human strongmen, my energy is limited, and Ancestor Yuan often needs to spend more thoughts. Luo Feng said, for me, for the entire human race, the stronger your strength, the better. Ancestor Yuan looked at the token and felt his heart burning. He became a god king because he comprehended the branch of the great Tao of world origin. After all, with a detailed reference, it is much easier to break through. On the illusory road, Ancestor Yuan encountered too many obstacles. Now he was even confused about the branches of the illusory road. This is the map of infinite space. Luo Feng pointed casually, and a stream of light flew to Ancestor Yuan. It also marks my current location. Ancestor Yuan, after you go to infinite space, you can quickly join me. The local creatures in infinite space are all fighting for it. My spiritual will has already covered 12 local creatures, and I can give it to you. Luo Feng said. Okay. Ancestor Yuan held the token in his hand, and immediately with the help of the token, a ray of consciousness began to descend into the infinite space from afar. Luo Feng was looking forward to it. In his opinion, Ancestor Yuan's study of the illusory path is believed to be excellent in spiritual will, and opening up new roads will also be rewarded by infinite space. With infinite space, Ancestor Yuan should be able to go further. Luo Feng thought. He helped everyone who should be helped, but the ultimate achievement of a cultivator must ultimately depend on himself. Origin Continent, Thunder Mountain, the holy land of the Thunder Ancient Kingdom. There are many worlds hidden in Thunder Mountain. In one of the vast worlds, there is a figure lying on the endless grassland. The grassland withers and flourishes again and again, but this figure lying on the grassland is not stained with a trace of dust. It is unknown how long it took for this figure to open his eyes. He is the ancestor of the Thunder Ancient Kingdom. Personally decomposing the corpse of a high-level chaotic origin life form, and even getting a share of the materials. The Thunder Ancestor was quite excited. The harvest this time is too great. Senior Yuan and the others are probably in a real hurry as well, and the corpses of the high-level chaotic origin life forms have allowed us to make purchases as well. The Thunder Ancestor and the Flame Wind Ancestor are all qualified to hunt low-level chaotic origin life forms. But high-level chaotic origin life forms, that is a qualitative change. A single foot can kill hundreds of millions of low-level chaotic origin life forms, and a breath can turn low-level chaotic origin life forms into ashes. Cultivators who have not jumped out of the cage may die completely due to soul pollution when encountering high-level chaotic origin life forms, even if they have the origin world sheltering clone. Senior Yuan and his team even took out the corpses of high-level chaotic origin life forms and gave them to us, the younger generations. The Thunder Ancestor thought, I'm afraid the rumors are true. The Begu World Group should have been completely lost. Our cultivator camp was defeated. The Begu World Group is also a world group for cultivating cultivators. It is a world group created by some predecessors such as Yuan at all costs. Rumor has it that the innate chaotic origin life forms camp has set its sights on the Begu World Group. They like to devour cultivators and even more like devouring the world. They came in large numbers, and Senior Yuan and his team also mobilized their forces to stop them. But, in the end, the cultivator camp still lost. The Thunder Ancestor and the Flame Wind Ancestor were skeptical about this rumor. But recently, Senior Yuan and his team have taken out more resources to help them, the God Emperors. I hope those innate chaotic origin life forms will not kill their way to the origin continent. The Thunder Ancestor was also worried. There was no way. In the confrontation between the two camps, the innate chaotic origin life forms group generally had the upper hand. The innate chaotic origin life forms group was too large, and they didn't care even if some of them died. But in the cultivator camp, there are too few people who can jump out of the cage. The cultivator camp can't afford to fight with consumption. The Thunder Ancestor walked out of this sleeping world and appeared on Thunder Mountain. Huh? The moment he appeared, the Thunder Ancestor immediately received some information reported by the monarchs. During my retreat, Milky Way Kingdom Lord appeared in the origin continent. He competed with Emperor Qing, and he actually gained the upper hand with a 9-story tower secret treasure. The Thunder Ancestor was quite surprised. Thunder Mountain, an ancient hall. Ancestor. The 9 monarchs gathered and knelt respectfully. The Thunder Ancestor sat high on the throne, overlooking the 9 monarchs. He and these monarchs were separated by several origin world eras, so how could there be any feelings? The reason why he and the Flame Wind Ancestor cultivated the tribe was to let the tribe help occupy more treasure lands and plunder more resources. If they could take out some of the resources needed by the God Kings and some of the early secret treasures of the God Emperor, it would be enough for the tribe to have an absolute advantage on the origin continent and let them owe huge debts one by one, and then go to collect treasures. Ancestor, this Milky Way Kingdom Lord is overbearing. He dared to kill the royal families of the 2 kingdoms who committed great sins. Emperor Yuan died in his hands. These monarchs were looking forward to the Thunder Ancestor. He has the strength beyond the God King level. In the origin continent, even if I can suppress him, I can't do anything to him. The Thunder Ancestor looked down and said, "Strength determines order. If you commit great sins and are killed by the Milky Way Kingdom Lord, I can't do anything. You should be careful in the future. Can we just keep enduring?" A golden-robed figure said anxiously. The Thunder Ancestor looked at him. The golden-robed figure trembled in his heart, and he knew he had said the wrong thing. The orders of the Ancestor only need to be executed, not questioned. He had harvested billions of lives for a long time through the Black Vulture Ancestor before, and now he was a little anxious. "Ancestor, I?" The golden-robed figure was very uneasy. The other 8 monarchs did not dare to say a word. "Fengxing, you go to the Wind Valley in the Heavenly Pillar Realm. Either get a secret treasure in the Wind Valley to atone for your sins, or die in it," the Thunder Ancestor ordered calmly. The golden-robed figure trembled, and none of the other 8 monarchs dared to plead for mercy. "Yes, Ancestor." The golden-robed figure, Monarch Fengxing, could only obey the order. To the high and mighty Thunder Ancestor, these monarchs are just subordinates, just tools. He will train a group of them in every era. At the beginning of an era, he will still cherish his subordinates. But at the end of the era, the value of these subordinates has greatly decreased. As long as an existence that surpasses the God King is born in the origin continent, you need to respect him. The Thunder Ancestor looked down at them because they are invincible in the origin continent. "But you don't need to worry," the Thunder Ancestor said. "Under the environment of the origin continent, Thunder Mountain is absolutely safe. No one will ever be able to kill their way into Thunder Mountain." The 8 monarchs understood. They understood what the Ancestor meant. The Ancestor could not do anything to the Milky Way Kingdom Lord, but at the same time, the Milky Way Kingdom Lord could not come to Thunder Mountain and act recklessly. "Did you gain anything during my retreat?" the Thunder Ancestor asked again. "Report to the Ancestor, I got a copy of Spiritual Rays." Monarch Lei Xiao respectfully reported and presented the treasure. The Thunder Ancestor nodded slightly as he listened. At the end of an era, it became increasingly difficult to obtain treasures. The Thunder Ancestor looked at the spiritual rays stored in the box in front of him, which was like liquid, nodded with satisfaction and ordered, "Everyone go down." Immediately, the monarchs all retreated respectfully. Flame Wind. The Thunder Ancestor sat there, but he contacted his old friend, Flame Wind Ancestor, from a distance. When he came out of retreat, Flame Wind Ancestor also came out of retreat at the same time. "Flame Wind, you also know about the Milky Way Kingdom Lord, right?" What are you going to do? The Thunder Ancestor asked. Outside the origin world, this Milky Way kingdom lord may be very immature. But in the origin continent, we can't do anything to him. The Flame Wind Ancestor laughed. What can I do? I can only bear it. How about we go to see this little guy together and give him a beating? The Thunder Ancestor asked. He will eventually leave the origin world and have to ask us for help. The two of them have practiced for several eras and have accumulated a lot of experience. Their network of friends is even more huge. The Thunder Ancestor has practiced to the perfect God Emperor. Now he is pursuing the last step of ultimate awakening of bloodline to jump out of the cage. The Flame Wind Ancestor is in the late stage God Emperor, but he is an enlightened person. In terms of strength, he is not much different from the Thunder Ancestor. Among the practitioners, the enlightened lineage is generally more respected. After all, they are from the same origin world, there is no need to beat him. The Flame Wind Ancestor said, not to mention really pushing the Milky Way Kingdom Lord. If the Milky Way Kingdom Lord really went crazy, the order of the origin continent would be completely messed up. The Thunder Ancestor also understood this truth. Under the power of the supreme rules of the origin continent, every God King is fearless. The ancestors of the two kingdoms have to weigh their actions. The ancestor of the East Pole territory is willing to let them, but the Milky Way Kingdom Lord may not be willing to let them. Forget it, then I won't meet him. The Thunder Ancestor said, as a junior, he has no intersection with us after he left the origin world. Keeping a distance is good for him and us. The Flame Wind Ancestor did not plan to meet Luo Feng. Distance creates beauty. All parties can handle things calmly. What did you gain from decomposing the corpse of a high-level chaotic origin life forms this time? The Thunder Ancestor asked, are you sure you can achieve the perfect God Emperor? The gain is great. The Flame Wind Ancestor was also a little excited. High-level chaotic origin life forms is countless times more complicated than low-level chaotic origin life forms. I will study this game carefully and I believe I can make further progress. You always make further progress every time, but you have never reached the perfect God Emperor. The Thunder Ancestor said. It's not easy to open up a path in the darkness and reach the half-chaotic origin level. The Flame Wind Ancestor smiled, you have to be patient. The half-chaotic origin level is the perfect God Emperor. There are very few people who have achieved the perfect God Emperor. If a person who has achieved the enlightenment can go one step further from the half-chaotic origin level and reach the chaotic origin level, what he has comprehended is the Tao of the chaotic origin level, which is a complete step to heaven, and he will become the most powerful chaotic origin life forms. Some predecessors such as Yuan are also looking forward to the birth of such a companion. I am patient, but I am worried that there is not enough time. The innate chaotic origin life forms camp is too strong. The Thunder Ancestor said worriedly, maybe one day, the origin continent will be invaded by the innate chaotic origin life forms. The origin continent is over, and we are over too. That's fate. The Flame Wind Ancestor said, it's useless for us to worry. On Thunder Mountain. The Ancestor obviously acquiesced to the actions of the Milky Way Kingdom Lord. The Ancestor also said that no one can enter Thunder Mountain. In this case, as long as you hide in Thunder Mountain to ensure safety, you can send your men to capture living beings. The origin continent is gradually entering its final period. We will leave the origin continent to venture out in the future, so we have to capture more living beings to nourish our bloodline. You have a clone, but I don't. Is it different if you hide your real body in Thunder Mountain and send puppets outside to harvest? The two monarchs talked quietly. They had endured for 300 epochs and originally hoped that the Thunder Ancestor would come forward. But the Thunder Ancestor's attitude was clear, and they had only one way. The real body hides in Thunder Mountain and sends puppets to capture living beings. Humph, I want to see what the Milky Way Kingdom Lord can do. The two monarchs made up their minds and began to make secret arrangements. Once again, they quietly captured a large number of living beings. Brother Milky Way, the ancestors of the two kingdoms have come out of retreat. You should be careful in your actions in the near future. Emperor Qing also informed Luo Feng The Flame Wind Ancestor is free and easy, but the Thunder Ancestor, although not affected by the chaotic origin bloodline, is a strong and domineering person. I understand. Luo Feng understood. At this moment, Luo Feng's real body was carefully comprehending the secret patterns of the Star Tower in the Star Tower. In the 300 centuries after the establishment of the Milky Way God Kingdom, Luo Feng used the rare treasure, Chaotic Origin Crystal, for a long time. His soul strength and spiritual will were comparable to the early-stage God Emperor, but his physical body was much weaker. In each epoch, Luo Feng could take up to 33 Chaotic Origin Crystals. If he took more, the effect would increase very little. If he exceeded 40 Chaotic Origin Crystals, the effect would weaken rapidly. The 10,000 Chaotic Origin Crystals he had obtained by selling the 3 secret treasures of Emperor Yuan had been used up. He also sold some ordinary treasures of the Dream Realm to the 2 ancient kingdoms in exchange for 2,000 Chaotic Origin Crystals. Long-term use of Chaotic Origin Crystals consumes a lot of energy. Luo Feng felt bad. He felt bad for the 33 Chaotic Origin Crystals he consumed every epoch. In the future, when he becomes stronger, the consumption will only increase. But the effect of Chaotic Origin Crystals is really good. In terms of cost-effectiveness, it can be called the best auxiliary treasure. This video will end here.